Or what made you go organic?
Okay, that's actually a really good question. We went organic, it's nearly 11 years ago now, and the reason for that was we were trying to intensify the farming operation here, and we were trying to milk more cows, and we were putting a bit of pressure on the system to try and produce more, which was the general industry drive at the time. And it's a very difficult farm because we have river flats that can flood, and we have hill country that is quite fragile. You have to be quite careful with it or you can lose the topsoil. So basically intensifying the farm wasn't working very well for us. We were running into quite a few problems with animal health and feed issues, and we were buying in supplementary feeds such as maize and molasses, and putting on quite a bit of nitrogen fertiliser like urea. So we were pressurising the system, pressurising the stock and ourselves, things like that. But overall it's much easier.
So what do you use for like antibiotics and worming and stuff?
Okay, the real emphasis with organics is a healthy soil.
Yeah.
So we're looking at prevention of most of the diseases and problems by addressing the mineral status of the soil. So we want to get a really balanced soil.
Yep.
So instead of just looking at the usual 4 or 5 elements that farmers look at, like NPKs, we're looking at something like 30 or 40 elements. And essentially we use natural remedies. So we use a fair bit of homeopathy. I use a lot of homeopathy actually, which science doesn't absolutely recognise, but for whatever reason it seems to work. We use a fair bit of apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
And garlic. I'm a big fan of garlic. So those are the kind of things we use. For worm control, again, we look at the soil. So if our copper levels are good,
yep,
we won't have an intestinal worm problem with the stock.
okay,
If our sulfur levels are optimum, we won't get lice or ticks or those external parasites. So we've learned to manage that through the soil. On the occasions, like leading up to that, during the transition years, if we get lice, we'll use a eucalyptus and tea tree oil mix, that sort of thing, instead of a pour-on. With worm control, if we need to, we'll go in with natural drenches like apple cider vinegar with garlic, and we'll use them at the time of the month that gives us our best results, which is actually just before the full moon, which sounds like witchcraft things, but it's science will even actually tell us that just before the full moon, or on the full moon, organisms are actually more active.
Have you ever regretted being an organic farmer?
No, I mean you can have bad days organically the same as you can conventionally. When early on you still have some issues around bloat or mastitis, and you haven't got those other remedies to use. They can be difficult days, but once it comes right, it goes really well, and no, I haven't regretted it. Okay.
What are the benefits of organic farming for the farmer?
For the farmer, it'll probably be working with less animals, but for more profit. So I think the profit can improve. I think less stress and a more enjoyable way to farm. It's not so pressurised and intensive. So that I think those are the main benefits for the farmer. For us, sustainability is a 3-pronged approach. So we've got the environmental sustainability. So can we do what we're doing in not just 10 or 50 years time, but say in hundreds of years time?
Yep.
So is it that robust that we can do that? And then the other aspect is what we call social sustainability.
Yep.
So are the people working on the farm getting a fair return, getting good time off? Like, even though it's a relatively small farm, we have a full-time guy working for us.
Yep.
So that we, outside of the calving period, we have alternate weekends off. He has a weekend over weekend. And we have 3-day weekends actually, because you work quite hard during the week. Getting a fair return, doing sensible hours. Like I see some of my dairy farming friends in spring, they're zombies, that's unbelievable hours, not sustainable, not just going too hard. Contributing to the community, doing all those things. So that's what I call social sustainability. And the other one that's equally important is economic sustainability. And it has to make a profit, and it has to be financially viable and allow you to grow the business or to have options. And I think sometimes you hear perhaps people that are passionately green or what have you that will have setups that just don't make money. And if you don't make money, you don't stay in business and you're not sustainable. So we try and mould all those three aspects together.
Keep going.
This is an area I'm going to have to concrete this summer. It's just so these guys will come in once we milk these. I'll put these other ones in, and then they'll clean up anything that's left over for sure.
What do they eat down there?
Sorry?
What do they eat down there?
Oh, well, at the moment they're getting a bit of maize silage that we grew the year before last, actually. I had some left over, fortunately. But normally hay or silage, we just feed it along there. Yeah. And they can poke their heads through and none of it's wasted, whereas if I fed that on the paddock at the moment, probably 80% of it would be walking into the ground. Yeah. So, make sure cattle are trying to move across the hillside and not up and down it, and things like that. One of the goals behind that flax there, and then we about 4 times a year it gets pumped across all these more flat paddocks, which is really good fertiliser, and we take our hay and silage off these paddocks because manure is very high in an element called potassium. Yet when you make hay and silage you pull a lot of potassium out of the ground, so that way it helps keep things in balance. Another thing we're doing along here is we wanted a hedge for more protection for the stock with the westerly winds. So we've actually planted a feijoa hedge because it makes a really good hedge, and feijoa is a very sturdy plant. They don't seem to get any diseases or anything wrong with them. And it's a grafted variety that produces a nice big fruit. So that in time our feijoa hedges will produce a fruit that we can harvest if we want. 300 camellias this year is to try and have more food for birds and bees out of season. So those trees are there because they've got a little red flowering gum, and they've been chowing down on that lately. So we need to get more stuff out of season, and the camellias, we've done quite a few camellia hedges that are going to fit that picture. And also we're making an effort to get more bees on the farm. Like, it's really scary how few bees are around these days. And so we're getting beehives on. There's a lady who's actually going to manage the bees for us, because she knows about bees and we can't really squeeze a lot more into our day. Yeah. And the primary goal there is to get the bees on the farm for pollination, and the honey will be a byproduct basically. Right. But agriculture chemicals are really hammering bees around the world.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of stuff. And we won't know the full implications of it, a lot of it, until it's too late, I think. Yeah, but they can detect, I think in Europe they're finding something like 124 different chemicals in bees.